Case 5. This isn't one. Case File 8. Then and Never. Location. Complicated. Subject. Me and some other people. Entity. Me. Other things. So, Secrets isn't home right now. Though I feel you might have guessed that already. I didn't kill him or do anything to him either. He's currently out and about preparing to move, doing not being at home things. Anyway, I'm writing this little exposition here to acquaint ourselves before the Q&A. I'm sorry to break the usual formula here, but I promise there will only be a few more of these tales from me. To tell you the truth, I was not going to reveal myself to you or secrets for a while, so I do apologize for this break in protocol. Story time.
There were two boys, friends. The boys were often seen together, attached at the hip as they say. One was an intellectual, a thinker, a puzzle solver. The other was an explorer, curious to a fault and courageous. Between the two of them, they were the perfect pair. Unbeatable, unbreakable. The time was spent adventuring through the woods, through town, through whatever they found, and there was nothing that could break their bond. Though there was one who could test it. Enter the father. Not friendly. A bad man with a shitty job and a drinking problem. Nothing new but nothing pretty. He was hateful and spiteful of all, including his son's perfect friendship. Child beatings and bruised ribs. Isolation with little consideration of feelings. Yet, best friends the two boys did remain. Treating softly around the father, the two boys retained their bond. One particular day, the two boys stumbled across something while rooting through the attic. Enter the unknown. Malevolent, malicious. Unknown spared the boys to get better acquainted with the dwelling and its inhabitants. The father, the two friends, and one more. A mother. Submissive. She would cringe from the father's touch and abhorrent personality. She was a silent bearer of her shame. Unknown continued to stay in the house watching father and mother, as well as being an imaginary friend to the friends. It was a manipulator and a planner, biding time and feeding off their energy. Eventually, Unknown started messing with the family. It would bump someone or hide objects, break a window or leave slain animals around the house. At first, the two boys were blamed and punished, but then the father and mother started noticing the events happening even when the boys were away from the house or at school. An exterminator was called and found nothing. The police were also called upon, but could not help in any way. Enter the detective. Dutiful. The detective had seen things he couldn't explain away with logic. He had solved cases that had been unsolved for years. He was truly a master of his craft, mixing a firm's sense of reality with a willingness to accept alternative causes. He quickly ruled out an animal or a break-in, so he interviewed father, mother, and the two boys. The detective picked up on the evil that was the father very quickly. He had little desire to help this man, but at the end of the day, a paycheck was a paycheck. He tried to talk to the mother about it, but she would have nothing to do with his questions and quickly shut off around him. He came to questioning the friends. He learned that the friend that was always around was here because his parents were always working and he was afraid of being by himself. The detective also learned of the imaginary friend. He learned how it was always present and always watching the family, and also of the disturbing comments it would make. The detective viewed what information he had and came to several different conclusions. The father was the cause of all or most of this, that the mother was finally acting out repressed emotion, or that a friend's imaginary friend was somehow to blame. As fate would have it, all three of his conclusions were right, in one way or another. One evening, the detective decided to stay a bit late to look into the lesser traveled parts of the house. Unknown did not appreciate the sudden investigation occurring within its domain and decided to take the vessel with the weakest resistance, the mother. Countless years of being beat and degraded had lowered her mental health to abysmal levels, and Unknown used that to the fullest to take her body from her. Unknown then attacked the detective, attempting to strangle him to death. The father walked into this scene and let out a forceful strike that hit Mother's frail body. He then lost himself to his usual barely concealed rage and throttled the woman. In the end, Father ended the life of Mother and expelled the Unknown from her body. Bitter irony that a piece of shit man like Father would save the detective. The two men worked out a deal where the father and his son would leave town and settle down elsewhere, while the detective looked into what made the mother snap and to delve deeper into this. And so, the other friend was left behind without a goodbye, pondering what had become of his other half.
And that's where this chapter closes, but it's not the end of the story, merely fuel to feed your fire. I know how you all vicariously read through the case files. I read what you send secrets. I know that you want more. Luckily, it suits my needs to entertain you. But remember this. You have not stumbled on some ARG. This goes far beyond whatever horror culture cliché you might think no sleep holds. Secrets wasn't the first to stumble on Organization 440's works, so he is the first to obtain the entire picture. Do you really know how many of these stories are accounts or recollections of the paranormal? Or how many of these authors were paid or intimidated into acting like they wrote the stories? Not everyone in the organization just goes and sends an operative out to kill people. Bribery and intimidation actually keep people alive. I'm here because someone has to keep secrets on track. Secrets is here to share this with others, and you are here to read and remember. Now to the intrigue you love so much. I am in these tales somewhere. Maybe in this one, maybe in one of the future ones, but I am in them. Secrets may be in them, and he just as equally might not be. He may be both. I can stick around for a little bit to poke and prod, but secrets will need to get home eventually, and freak out at this. Oh, and the name's Tattle. Leaving now, so that secrets does not need me. See you next time.
Edit. Secrets here. It is almost 10 PM where I am at. I may be on in a few hours after I sift through all of these comments. I don't know.